Good evening, all. I, Dr. Vinod Lakhwani, on behalf of our university, welcome all panelists and participants for today's webinar on post-lockdown relevant business strategies, an all-inclusive perspective from segment leaders on master strategies post-lockdown for overall business community, what next and now I take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed panelists for today's session. Our first panelist is Mr. Kamlesh Yagnik sir. Mr. Yagnik has over 3 decades of post-qualification experience in research, business and consulting in the areas of climate change and technology. He is acting as a chairman of Resilience Strata Research and Action Forum, a company working for building resilience of habitats. He is also a director of MIPL, a technology company. He works as a senior climate action expert on European Union sponsored International Urban Cooperation Project. Currently, he is working as a Chief Resilience Officer for Surat Municipal Corporation. He is the chairman of 108 years old Sarvajanik Education Society, catering to the academic needs of 32,000 students by running 30 educational institutes in South Gujarat. He is also Vice Chairman of Vocational Training Center, run for tribal students in Valsad district. He is a former president of the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. An engineer by training from IIT Mumbai, he has studied vulnerabilities, impact and adaptation strategies in Surat in the areas of urban resilience, climate change and energy management. Sir, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Dr. Mukul Choksi, a senior psychiatrist. He has written 10 books on human mind, psychology, sociology and behavior. He appears as a psychological counselor in female-oriented program on ETV Gujarati with the name as Sakhi, and has delivered hundreds of lectures on talk shows on all local TV channels of Surat. Sir is also columnist on the various newspapers like the Gujarat Samachar, Sandesh. He is also awarded by the prestigious Kalapi Award given by Indian National Theatre, Mumbai, and also member of Gujarat Sahitya Academy. Sir is also, apart from his profession, is also interested in writing shairis and ghazals. Sir, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Moving to the third panelist, Mr. Dinesh Navadia ji. He is a regional chairman of the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotional Council, Vice President of Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce. Sir, we welcome you. Moving to the fourth panelist, Dr. Parul Vadgama, who is currently President of Indian Medical Association. She is winner of multiple awards, professor in New Civil Hospital, practicing as a chest physician. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Our fifth panelist is Mr. Nehar Saraswala, who is a market research analyst by profession and the president of World Record Foundation and the CEO of IMIT Group. He has been bestowed with multiple national awards for excellence in social welfare and entrepreneurship. He has been diligently and consistently spreading awareness regarding conservation of environment. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I also welcome Dr. Rohit Singh, Dean Academics, Auro University, and Dr. Monica Suri, HOD, School of Business, Auro University. Now I would request Dr. Monica Suri to give introduction of the university and opening remarks for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vinodji. Though our panelists need no introduction of Auro University as well, because they are associated with us in all our past and future endeavors. But the participants who joined us for this particular webinar, I would like to give a brief introduction of Auro before I deliver the opening remarks for this particular webinar. So Auro University is established under Gujarat State Private Universities Act 2009 and approved under Section 2F and 22C of UGC Act 1956 and Regulation 2003. And it is founded by Rama family. The university is inspired by the vision and teachings of Shri Aurobindo and Divine Mother. And the university offers various competencies and skill sets in 7 domains of knowledge, starting from business, hospitality, IT, law, design, journalism and mass communication, liberal arts and human sciences. And from this academic year, I'm glad to share that we are also coming up with School of Sciences as one of the new domain of knowledge. And the university aims to achieve its vision by embarking students on the journey of realizing the infinite potential, and also has its international presence in the form of several academic and industry collaborations with leading foreign universities and industries across India and the world. Our university, we call it a space of meaningful knowledge transactions, and under the distinguished lecture series of webinars, we are holding this meaningful webinar today, which is completely aligned to today's situation, 19. And coming to my insights on the opening remarks for this particular webinar, I think I'll not be wrong in my saying, if I start my opening remarks by saying that every cloud has a silver lining, but I feel I'm extended a bit by saying that every cloud has a silver lining and learning as well. And this is what we are going to make an effort today through this particular webinar, to give insights to all the participants who have joined us from various diversified domains of knowledge and the industry and business, and largely the students and academicians. So as still there is time for the vaccine to come, and I feel that organizations must plan for multiple scenarios and time horizons as they shift from crisis response to recovery response. They should also plan for possibility of multiple waves of pandemic and its continuing global and footprints that we all are witnessing since last many months. And if I see all the aspects of the business, every aspect is equally important. We cannot undermine the effect of psychological, human, technical, operational and functional aspects of every business. And that's why we have a galaxy of speakers with us from various domains of knowledge and competency skill sets. And I think there are a few points of introspection questions that I'm sure each expert will deliberate upon during their turn while they are going to speak on the basis of their experience and competencies. So I feel that there are few points to be introspected. How organizations handle the recovery will define the brands with both their workforce and their customers, because this is a brand building phase for them also, that they're going to completely revamp their branding principles and branding strategies. How they will establish their reputation for years to come. And we have seen that few of the brands have already marked it. And recently, I think just 2 or 3 days before, we saw the news of one of the brands who have increased the salary of their employees. I think they have already made a mark by doing it, because it's altogether a different revamp of HR, human resource policies and practices they have actually shown. And I think it's equally important for brands to know how they will establish their reputation for years to come, and also how they will determine their future competitive strategies. And I think post-lockdown, it will also be important for every organization that to look for opportunities to reflect upon, to recommit, to re-engage, to rethink, and to reboot whatever their existing strategies are. And once we are in the urge of opening down many businesses and sectors, I think it is good to have a preventive plan in action at this point in time, and which will be taken care of by this particular webinar, which we are hosting today with the help of experts. I'm sure every participant have some kind of every functional area of maybe be it marketing, human resource, strategic management, and largely the supply chain management, which is actually the need of the hour. So with this now, Dr. Vinod, I hand over the session to you for further proceedings.
Thank you, ma'am. Before I start, I request all participants to drop their questions in the Q&A box. Once the all panelists will complete their part, we will take the question and answer afterwards. Thank you, ma'am. Now to start with this, I will request first Mr. Kamlesh Yagnik sir to give his point of view on this. Sir, over to you.
Sir, please unmute.
Kamlesh sir, unmute.
Okay.
Yeah. Sir, over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to everyone, especially friends at Toro University and my co-panelist and dear audience. It's a wonderful seminar, and it's nice to be among nice and wise people. Now, before I talk about the impact of COVID and the post scenario, I want to take all of you, in the year 2008, where we had experienced something which is known as a Great Recession. And in a Great Recession, if we see the overall impact, what was the impact of recession? The overall impact, which was estimated by all the authorities, was to the tune of around reduction of 1.5% of world GDP. It's a massive. But again, if you compare that with the Great Depression, if we go further down the history and go in 1929, October 1929, which lasted, the Great Depression lasted from say 29 till mid 30s or end of 30s. And that depression, showed us 15% world GDP reduction. The recession, 2008 recession lasted for about year and a half to two, and a depression lasted for more than a decade and a half. Now, post-COVID scenario, we really have to examine various scenarios. We just cannot say this is what is going to happen. We'll have to evaluate the various scenarios and arrive at our own judgment based on various scenarios. One of them, is very, very clear, and it's very optimistic situation where we say that, it's a very temporary phenomena and will recover fast. So, there are people, there are businesses, there are, planning for a V-shaped recovery. In the sense, something, by say starting from July 2020, the recovery process will start. That's a very optimistic scenario. Then, second scenario is somewhat optimistic or a somewhat pessimistic scenario, wherein, we are talking about a severe and extended impact of COVID-19 and a U-shaped recovery, wherein, a lockdown, overall lockdown is expected to last till September 2020. That's a middle path. That's, somewhat optimistic, somewhat pessimistic scenario. And, we have also to consider a pessimistic scenario wherein, there's going to be a prolonged severe downturn, which will lead us to a low level normal, and people are estimating, there are models created by various economists. They say that this effect will last till 2021, April 2021, and following that, recovery slowly will begin. So these are the three different scenarios in which, we have to put ourselves into and evaluate our individual businesses. Now, what government, will be doing, government, whether it's a state government or a local government, they have actually to ensure they have to manage this pandemic through financial resources by increasing insurance coverage or various technological solutions. So that's what, government is intervening currently. The second interventions, government is doing, they are protecting, they will need to protect income and employment, especially, our vulnerable section of the society by implementing, say, direct cash transfer and other mechanisms. And third thing government, will need to do is to support corporate sectors, which includes MSMEs, to minimize adverse economic impact and to facilitate quick recovery through various mechanisms like credit support to SMEs or building infrastructure or undertaking various policies. So this is what, a functions, any government will be required to undertake post or during the period of COVID. Now, if you see the credit rating of world, says sometime in February, the world economy was expected to grow at around 4%. And in the May, now the predictions are that world economy, the global economy will grow at 0.5% of GDP. There are some models and some institute, they are proposing, a minus growth as well, a negative. In case of India, the average growth rate, sometime in the month of February was about 5% GDP growth rate. And in the month of May, people are expecting that, Indian economy will grow at about 1.5. So in both the cases, you see that the growth of India is expected to be much higher than the average global economic rate. So that is what, is a scenario. And, now if we see that, what we have observed in the COVID scenario, in this situation, what is a new normal? New normal is the power shifting to the government. Government, has a power to do everything. Rest of the institutions, business and academic and all other institutions, they follow it. The most powerful institution, which has come is a government, because they can actually play the most essential and expanded role in protecting people and organizing response. Secondly, our definition of future of work is changed, and the consumption pattern also, our definition of consumption also is changed. Thirdly, we have been talking about globalizations, but now, the new normal would be to moving from globalization to regionalizations. And that's what our Prime Minister very recently said. Okay, let's be, vocal local. So that's what, is a scenario, and that is, going to say. And as Dr. Monica Suri mentioned, that every crisis, it brings along with it, there are some unseen opportunities. अवसर आपदा ने अवसर में पलटी नाखवानी बात छे. We change, every crisis, it tests our limit of resilience, and now it is a time where we all are used to pressing reset button. So it is a time to press reset button and be ready, be prepared, be optimistic, explore trends, and explore new business ideas. So that's what, we'll all be required to do. Now, say there are industries, which will do really good. There are industries which are very, very obvious, will not do good. If we just sit back and think logically, we'll find it that there are some fear products and services, in the sense that during the time of COVID, we knew that yes, these are the products we really have to have it, very essential commodities. And there are non-fear products. We're not bothered about those products or services. Now, non-fear products and services, they are bound in a short term, if we talk about. And my personal, estimate is that in next 2 years' time, these are the industries which will certainly not do well based on, our understanding of what is happening. We talked about, say, automobile industry, real estate, jewelry, furniture, very luxury and premier ethnic clothing, hotel, travel industries. These are definitely bound to fail in a time to come. The consumer electronics, except mobile, they will also fail. Mall, restaurant, multiplexes, they are actually going to create problems. In fact, there are many industries, government serving industries, especially, government have directed all their funds because, the stimuli product, 10% of the GDP. So I'm sure many of the projects will affect. So there are, companies who are dependent on government projects. They are also bound to fail or bound to be affected very, very miserable. So these are, some of the things. Then especially, in Indian conditions, if we talk about Surat, the wedding, they're not going to be new wedding, the kind of weddings which many of us have experienced. Those weddings, will be out. So all the event management company, gymnasium, sports, all those things, it will be kept aside at least for now couple of months. So these are, things which will be definitely, will have an impact. Plus, there are industries, in our country or even in our Surat city. Some of the industries, they are China dependent. Some of the industries are non-China dependent. So they will also have their share depending on the kind of impact that. So these are non-fear products and services. But, if we see, which are the fear products and services, like hospitals, laboratory tests, insurance, health insurances, food supplements. These are the things, which will definitely, thrive. Home exercising, home test, these are the, things which will go. plus anything, like starting with E, like we talk about, say, e-commerce, e-learning, e-meeting, the kind of meeting, the Zoom, very few of us had known Zoom. Today, like it's become a common name all over the world. So e-meetings, e-entertainment, e-security, e-wallet, these are YouTubings. So these are the things, like industry which will work. Laptop, yes, will have some spike, antiviruses, headphone, earphone, all equipments used essential, for remote working, they are bound to go up. FMCG, like their demand will definitely shoot up. Food essentials, dal, sugar, jaggery, like our day-to-day requirement, that will really work. Even non-food FMCG product, there's packaged foods, personal hygiene products, all these products and services, like they are bound to grow in a time to come. So this is basically in a scenario. Now, in this scenario, how do we manage it? I'll take a couple of more minutes. Now, like the essential things, industry, will really need to see is, firstly, manage our cash flow to an extent, start debt recovery, bring in cash, do business in cash, have no credit, because, what's going to happen, like 6 months from now, we have absolutely no clue. Banks, they reported very healthy and wonderful results in March 2020. Like suddenly in next 6 months time, you will find their, NPA mounting. So have absolutely no credit business, like have a cash business. And be very, very clear in your buyer selections as well as you grade your customers. We need to cut down on our inventory, have a lean inventory, minimum stock. Absolutely, that's essential. The cost cutting is the name of the game. Only, winners will be those who cut cost. We have to reduce our overheads, restructure salary, like reduce luxury, production and sales, like it should be less, costly, and renegotiate, our terms and conditions with our customer. Then, choosing of a right set of technology, it's very, very important. Automation is the name of the game. Remote working is very, very important. And equally important is increasing the skill of our staff. Our team, like should be appropriately skilled. So that's what, essentially, will require to have it. And, what is more important, the entire supply chain. Because, see, today we are finding the supply chain is broken. So we need to ensure that, we have a local supply chain. Our raw material supplier, our vendors, our channel partners, it should be, like from the localized area. Necessarily from the same city or from the same state or especially from the same country. That, these are the businesses which will survive, this is the moment of crisis. Then again, like very, very important is customer retention. And more importantly is customer retentions. Customer acquisition comes subsequently. But, like this is a time, like to plan both customer retention as well as customer acquisitions by having our own app, like for, we need to develop, like we plan a home delivery, we come out with various schemes, like we remain in close connect, like marketing should be different. And that's what, like we need to evolve our strategy. And more importantly, in today's time, like we have to see that customer, like should look at us, like that we are different. So, we really have to cut down a display and show that, like to our customers, to our various stakeholders, that I'm not only a survival of this game, I'm a winner. So these are, like the kind of strategy which we will all have to plan out. So with this, I end, I leave it, like rest of the things in a question answers if they come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inputs. Surely there are few questions, so I will take once all the speaker, give their inputs. Now I'll request Dr. Mukul Choksi to share his opinion on this. Sir, over to you.
And before Choksi sir will just share his remarks, I have a submission to make to the will unmute our mics. There's some technical coming. If we mic person is speaking, I think that will actually be all right. Thank you so much, sir. Please go ahead. Mukul sir, please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Mukul sir, over to you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod Bhai. Thank you, Dr. Monica, and thanks to my all fellow participants, Dr. Parul, Nihar Bhai, and Kamlesh Bhai. And thanks to Oro University for providing me such a nice opportunity to interact with a learned crowd. Friends, as Dr. Kamlesh Bhai rightly said, that ultimately it's a question of attitude, indirectly, that how we take this issue. Let me just first highlight the few important aspects of mental health here scenario in our country. The estimate is that around 20% of population is suffering from some kind of mental illness today, before even COVID entered into this scenario. So a lot of people are suffering from anxiety, depression, personality problems, substance abuse, alcohol, drug abuse, suicidal tendencies, and lot other things. So this is the population, say around 15 to 20% people, some aged, some youngsters, children, and adults also, female, male, all from all wakes of society, from all segments of society, professionals, workers, business people, all. So in this scenario, when some big emotional crisis like this pandemic, which as we envisage is likely to achieve its peak in coming few weeks or maybe months, and will likely to be here for around 18 to 24 months totally. So we don't know. Medical field also is still in dilemma that how long it's going to last. Dr. Parul will highlight. But all epidemiological findings say that it may last totally from 18 to 24 months. We've already seen, the world has seen almost 6 months, and now still we might have another 1 year or maybe 18 months. So if we look at the total mental energy the country has, the burden lies upon those, the burden lies upon those 80% of the population which is supposed to be mentally fit. Rest of the population is already suffering from some soft illnesses to some very serious illnesses. As such, we have a lack of mental health personnel, maybe a counselor, a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychiatric social worker, sociologist, and all this. Those all mental health helping agencies are already in deficiency. And in this scenario, when such a big emotional trauma like pandemic, it's likely to make the scenario even much more pathetic. But now we look at the history of mankind. This pandemic is comparable to the pandemic which the world envisaged 100 years back. Unfortunately, nobody is alive to share his or her experiences in 1917 or 1918. But we have read in media almost everything about so-called big pandemic, big influenza or Spanish. People came out of that also. World witnessed two major world war and the post-World War depression also. The entire Europe was affected. Almost half of the world was affected, and crores of people we lost. Europe had a kind of a psycho-literary movement known as existentialism, during which from 1944 to say around 1960, almost 10 to 15 years of entire European population was under a kind of a philosophical depression, which is known as existentialism. In existentialism, everybody was totally had a nihilistic idea about the world. Now we might see this kind of all psycho-philosophical and spiritual and kind of a social attitude, all negative attitudes. Now the business is probably the only way that can bring the world out of all these psychophilosophical negative attitudes. Because if the business survives, if the people come out of this crisis via business, if business becomes the agency to sustain the world, then all the mechanisms will be in reverse and everything will be corrected. So I think the entire world now is looking, Kamlesh bhai, towards the business community because if this is the only way to survive, no other thing can bring utmost happy survival to the world other than business, because of the whole entire pyramid, the bottom is business. We talk about workers, we talk about employees, everybody is dependent upon the business. So business community is the first community which should recover fast and efficiently. Package is interim relief, maybe 20 lakh crore, maybe 30 lakh crore, or maybe 50 lakh crore. The size of the package doesn't mean anything. What does it mean? It just initiates the process. Ultimately, government will support, it will provide the infrastructure, but ultimately it is the mentality of the average Indian which ultimately is going to change the scenario. If we look at the history, Japan, the way Japan came out of the big depression which Japanese saw after the end of the World War, after the atomic blast, it was the attitude and the mentality of the average citizen that we must come out and we have to come out. There is no way out. So, however severe the pandemic may be, however big tall it may take, ultimately it's our attitude that will bring us out. There are a lot of issues pertaining to business. The chain will disrupt. There will be issue of a payment crisis, zoning issue, conflict with one class to other class, problem of workers, problem of labor, problem of material, goods, everything. There may be n number of problem business houses and business commodity is going to face. But ultimately, it's the mindset and to make a good mindset. What can we do? There are so many suggestions from mental health people, motivators, psychologists, counselors. The very first of all is the old Indian traditional spiritual way of thinking. It helps a lot. May it be yoga, may it be pranayam, may it be many meditation, dhyan, Surya Namaskar. We have a number of spiritual leaders in our country. They provide a good way to achieve the mental hygiene and to develop the positive outlook and attitude. That is number one. Number two, all psychopharmacological armamentarium. It is a very unexplored place so far. Psychopharmacology is a very effective tool to help all communities, including business communities. I have seen within last couple of months a few very, very energetic businessmen who used to be very energetic, and within last 2 months now they have started complaining about government, complaining about current scenario, complaining about medical research, that nothing is going to work. So the entire attitude is becoming negative. Now these are the pillars of business. Now if they will lose the confidence, rest of the country, what will the country do? So I think psychopharmacology has a big role to play in coming days. A small medication, a small pill, antidepressant, a small mood elevator pill nearby, it works miraculously. For few months, we have seen in number of people facing death, cancer, or terminal illnesses. If they are given a small medication, I'm why I'm highlighting this point is because the entire attitude of our average Indian people is anti-medicine. People think that medicines kill a person. I think medicine has a big role to play. Psychopharmacology, especially those entering into business or profession or anything. So, national GDP also depends a lot upon, other than financial aspects, mental health of the country. And we are going to face some downfall in the mental health, and it's our duty to show the people a lot of ways to come out. Spiritual way is one way, psychopharmacology is another way. We have a junk of motivators. Keep motivating. A lot of local, lot of global motivators are available online. I earnestly request all to go through motivational videos, because it has motivated a lot of people. So motivation is another thing. Religious attitudes. Kamlesh bhai rightly pointed out indirectly, minimalism means curtailing our own requirements. Minimalism movement it was considered a kind of a fashion, but now I think it has become a reality. This minimalism, ultimately, it's an attitude. It's a newly developed attitude, and we have to learn certain attitudes like minimalism to help growth of our economy, or to help our economy to prevent from destroying. Business people are going to face another few problems, like if they are stressed, business people, they may take a hasty decision, they make some major financial mistakes, they may lack motivation. Even if government provides a lot of infrastructure, they may lack some motivation, they may become overprotective, they may start procrastinating. So a lot of internal attitudinal problem might harm the entire business segment because of some people. So it's now it's a role of people like our chamber president to arrange a lot of motivational seminars and to promote the local business, to sustain the moral of every businessman and the entire business community. I think there are a lot of more other things can be told, but I want to stop here. I will wait for the audience questions later on about how mental health personnel can help business people in developing their business skills, in sustaining their businesses, and achieve the heights which Japan achieved, which China achieved in 70s, Japan achieved in 50s and 60s, and Europe achieved after both First and Second World War. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, and in helping us to know how health also helps or affect your decision making in such scenario, and how when as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, you take the decision. Now, may I request Dinesh Navadia ji to share his views. Sir, over to you. Sir, you have to unmute. Dinesh sir. Yeah. May I request other panelists to mute themselves so that we can it will be easy for us to hear.
Good evening.
Dr. Parul Bain.
Sir, your voice is not clear, Dinesh sir. Your voice is not clear.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
How?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Good evening to all of
To participate.
Yeah, sir. Now it's okay. Yeah.
कमलेश भाई और मेहुल भाई
चौकसी ने जो बात रखी बिजनेस की सिचुएशन की, इंडस्ट्री के साथ रिलेटेड हूँ, आइटम है
और
पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर खास करके जो पॉलिसी जो पॉइंट पॉलिसिंग का भारत के पास है और गुजरात की इंडस्ट्री के पास है।
आज की तारीख में
मेरा जो रॉ मटेरियल का प्रोडक्शन है, ऐसे देखे तो वर्ल्ड के अंदर 7.8 बिलियन डॉलर का रॉ मटेरियल होता है, माइनिंग होता है, और तो माल आता है तब वो हो जाता है 3.8 बिलियन डॉलर, और हम करके माल मार्केट में सेल करते हैं तो 24 बिलियन डॉलर का पूरा बिजनेस है।
सर आपका वॉइस, दिनेश सर आपका वॉइस थोड़ा कट हो गया वापस। हेलो
अभी आ रहा है?
हाँ जी सर, अब परफेक्ट है, प्लीज कैरी ऑन सर, प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
अभी वॉइस आ रहा है?
यस सर,
Hello?
अभी क्लियर है, प्लीज कंटिन्यू। या सर, इट इज क्लियर।
तो अभी की सिचुएशन की हम बात करें डायमंड इंडस्ट्री की, तो 1890 मार्च के अंदर हमारा जो एक्सपोर्ट था, वो एक्सपोर्ट के स्टेटिस्टिकल हम फिगर देखें तो उसके साथ में ये 1920 के अंदर 42% मार्च के अंदर हमारा एक्सपोर्ट डाउन गया है। तो ये लग्जरियस आइटम के कारण ये डायमंड इंडस्ट्री को बहुत ही इफेक्ट आई है। लेकिन 2008 के अंदर जो वर्ल्ड वाइड इकोनॉमिक्स डाउन हुई थी और बहुत दिक्कत डायमंड इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर उसको पड़ी हुई थी, उसके कारण लेकिन डायमंड इंडस्ट्री के साथ जो जुड़े हुए हैं, फर्स्ट ऑफ तो मुझे वो नहीं बोलना चाहिए, लेकिन अनपढ़ लग होने के कारण वो लोग बहुत कैलकुलेशन बहुत आगे की सोचते नहीं थे। शॉर्ट टर्म में वो डिसाइड कर लेते कि मुझे क्या करना है। आज की तारीख में भी जो डायमंड इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े हुए लोग हैं, वो नया सिचुएशन में हम कैसे सेट हुए इसकी पूरी ट्राई करते हैं। आज भारत के अंदर एक्सपोर्ट नहीं स्टार्ट हुआ था, लेकिन सूरत ऐसा एक पोर्ट था कि कार्गो फ्लाइट के माध्यम से 15 दिन पहले हमने ऑलरेडी यहाँ से एक्सपोर्ट स्टार्ट कर दिया था। आज वर्ल्ड के अंदर हांगकांग या बेल्जियम और अमेरिका भी मंडे से स्टार्ट हो रहा है। ऐसे देखें तो डिमांड नहीं है, लेकिन जो विल पावर है इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े हुए लोगों का, इसके कारण अभी बिजनेस रिस्टार्ट होने में टाइम नहीं लगेगा। आज की तारीख में भी डायमंड इंडस्ट्री के साथ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जुड़े हुए लोगों का कम से कम 200 से 50 लोगों से ज्यादा लोगों का मेरे पे मेल भी आया और कांटेक्ट भी किया कि हमको फैक्ट्री स्टार्ट करना है। मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि जो हम ये सब बात कर रहे हैं कि भाई ये कोविड-19 के कारण बिजनेस डाउन गया है और लोगों को मेंटली बहुत डिप्रेशन हुआ है, लेकिन गुजरात के बिजनेसमैन है, शायद उसको एक दफा बिजनेस स्टार्ट हो जाएगा तो ये कोविड-19 के जो भी इफेक्ट है शायद वो भूल जाएंगे और बिजनेस में लग जाएंगे। और अपॉर्चुनिटी इसलिए बहुत अच्छी है कि आज हमारा जो 24 बिलियन डॉलर का बिजनेस है और वो डायमंड ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके मार्केट इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में 74 बिलियन डॉलर का बिजनेस हो जाता है। तो वैल्यू एडिशन की जो गैप है, वो वैल्यू एडिशन की गैप भारत के पास नहीं है, वो हांगकांग, अमेरिका, 2 कंट्री के पास ये वैल्यू एडिशन की पूरी चैनल है। आज की तारीख में हमारा जो कंजप्शन है डायमंड इंडस्ट्री का, वो 40% अमेरिका कंट्री है, 38% हांगकांग, 4% चाइना और 15% यूरोपियन कंट्री है। तो सब जगह पे कोविड-19 की इफेक्ट है, लेकिन सब जगह पे आज अमेरिका, यूरोप और हांगकांग फर्स्ट स्टार्ट हुआ है, तो डायमंड मार्केट स्टार्ट हो गई है। इसके कारण यहाँ के जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है उन लोगों पे थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस आया है कि हम भी आगे जाके अभी हमारा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टार्ट करेंगे तो माल सेल करने में या कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी। और इसके साथ डायमंड इंडस्ट्री ने एक सब ने साथ में मिलके एक बहुत अच्छा पॉजिटिव निर्णय भी लिया कि 3 महीने तक हम किसी भी प्रकार का इंपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे रॉ मटेरियल का, कारण कि आज भारत के पास 2.3 बिलियन डॉलर का पाइपलाइन में स्टॉक पड़ा हुआ है। शायद रॉ मटेरियल के प्राइस गिर जाती है और स्टॉक में लॉस होता है, तो सब लोगों ने मिलके ये तय किया कि हम इंपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे। इसकी इफेक्ट अभी से दिखने लगी है कि अभी 2 महीने से तो ऑलरेडी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बंद है और अगले 2-3 महीने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कम स्टार्ट होगा। तो जिन लोगों को माल की रिक्वायरमेंट है पॉलिश डायमंड से, वो अभी से परचेज स्टार्ट कर दिए। वैल्यू एडिशन के लिए अभी आगे आना चाहिए, इसके लिए सेमिनार भी काउंसिल के माध्यम से हम कर रहे हैं। कल भी कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी के साथ हमारी जूम मीटिंग थी उसमें उसने बहुत अच्छा एक सजेशन दिया है, वर्चुअल एग्जीबिशन। आज पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर 4 बड़े एग्जीबिशन होते थे डायमंड ज्वेलरी का, इसमें से अभी कल ही सजेशन दिया है कि काउंसिल को वर्चुअल एग्जीबिशन का आयोजन करना चाहिए। ऑलरेडी काउंसिल ने इसके बारे में काम भी चालू कर दिया कि वर्चुअल एग्जीबिशन हम कैसे कर पाए। तो नई सिचुएशन जो अभी आ रही है, जो दिख रही है कि अभी कंज्यूमर शायद आपकी शॉप पे नहीं आ रहा है, आपकी फैक्ट्री पे नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन उसके घर बैठ के वो अपनी चॉइस के हिसाब से कोई भी डायमंड रिंग, इयररिंग्स या कुछ भी पसंद कर ले, तो उसको शायद आप डिलीवरी करके उसकी जो भी डिमांड है उसको फिलफुल कर सकते हैं। सूरत के अंदर, सेल्स के अंदर, सचिन के अंदर आज 8 डायमंड ज्वेलरी कंपनी स्टार्ट हो गई है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी। ऑर्डर भी अच्छा है, एक्सपोर्ट भी हो रहा है। डायमंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग गुजरात इराबोज इच्छापुर में भी फैक्ट्री स्टार्ट हो गई है। शायद गुजरात गवर्नमेंट कल जो भी नॉर्म्स डिक्लेयर करने वाले हैं, इसमें 33% वर्कफोर्स के साथ शायद परमिशन देंगे तो मोस्टली फैक्ट्री स्टार्ट हो जाएगी। अभी जो मेंटली डिप्रेशन है वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के अंदर है, वर्कर के अंदर है। शायद गवर्नमेंट कुछ इसमें पॉजिटिव स्टेप लेके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टार्ट करने की परमिशन दे देंगे तो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि जो मेंटली डिप्रेशन है वो डिप्रेशन कम होगा और लोग काम पे लग जाएंगे। कमलेश भाई ने बोला कि अभी गवर्नमेंट ने इतनी एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए 20 लाख करोड़ के ऊपर से पैकेज दिया है, लेकिन उसमें बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये है, गवर्नमेंट कोई भी स्कीम डिक्लेयर कर देती है, आज उसका इम्प्लीमेशन हुआ कि नहीं उसका फॉलोअप नहीं है। आज गवर्नमेंट लेबर के लिए, दूसरे कोई श्रमिक के लिए कुछ जीआर नोटिफिकेशन डिक्लेयर करते हैं, तुरंत उसका फॉलोअप स्टार्ट हो जाता है। आज लेबर डिपार्टमेंट के माध्यम से वर्कर का पगार नहीं हुआ कि नहीं तो फैक्ट्री पर चेकिंग होता है और उस पर एक्शन भी लेते हैं। वो सरकार का फर्ज है और करते हैं, सही बात है। लेकिन एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए बैंक को जो आदेश दिया जाता है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को जो आदेश दिया जाता है, बाकी जो एजेंसी को आदेश दिया जाता है कि आपको एमएसएमई सेक्टर के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के साथ जुड़े लोगों को ये बेनिफिट देना है, लेकिन उसका इम्प्लीमेंट जीरो है। आज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में गवर्नमेंट ने, गुजरात गवर्नमेंट डिसीजन ले लिया कि आपको ये करना है, लेकिन टोरेंट पावर ने सबको बिल इश्यू कर दिया। बैंक के अंदर 3 मंथ के लिए वो जो इंस्टॉलमेंट नहीं करना है, लेकिन जिसका पैसा जमा था उसका कट गया। तो इम्प्लीमेशन बहुत जरूरी है इंडस्ट्री को बैकअप फिर से स्टार्ट करने के लिए। गवर्नमेंट की कोई भी पॉलिसी है तो पॉलिसी का इम्प्लीमेशन कितने स्पीड से और कितने नॉर्म्स के साथ होता है, तो इसके कारण एमएसएमई सेक्टर के साथ जुड़े हुए जो यूनिट है डायमंड और डायमंड ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का, वो तुरंत हम स्टार्ट भी कर पाएंगे और रोजगारी का जो प्रश्न है वर्कर का, उसको भी सॉल्यूशन आ सकता है। आज की तारीख में हमारा जो कैलकुलेशन है और $24 बिलियन में से 35% बिजनेस पूरा डाउन होने वाला है, $6 बिलियन का बिजनेस कम होने वाला है। वो जो गैप है वो गैप हम किस तरह से उसको हम फिल करें, इसलिए वैल्यू एडिशन के अभी से हमने कैलकुलेशन स्टार्ट कर दी है कि लोगों को हमको वैल्यू एडिशन में डाइवर्ट करना पड़ेगा, डायमंड ज्वेलरी में डाइवर्ट करना पड़ेगा, डायमंड ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में डाइवर्ट करना पड़ेगा। शायद 6 बिलियन नहीं पर $10 बिलियन का बिजनेस मिल सकता है। तो एक अवसर आया है ये कोविड-19 के कारण, एक नई अपॉर्चुनिटी अभी ज्वेलरी सेक्टर को भी दिख रही है कि हमको अभी वैल्यू एडिशन में जाना चाहिए, और वैल्यू एडिशन में हम जाएंगे तो जो ये गैप पॉलिश डायमंड का बिजनेस के अंदर $6 बिलियन का गैप है, शायद हम वैल्यू एडिशन के माध्यम से वो गैप कवर कर सकते। गुजरात की डायमंड पॉलिशिंग डायमंड इंडस्ट्री ये चौथी ऐसी घटना है कि इसके कारण डायमंड इंडस्ट्री को बहुत लॉस भी हुआ है और डिप्रेशन भी आया है। लेकिन कोविड-19 के अंदर 2008 की कंपैरिजन में हम देखें, शायद मार्केट अमेरिका का ओपन हो रहा है, यूरोपियन मार्केट ओपन हो रहा है, हांगकांग मार्केट ऑलरेडी ओपन हो गया है। तो अगले दिन जो भी सिचुएशन क्रिएट होती है, शायद हम इसमें पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग करके ये बिजनेस को हम संभाल पाएंगे। इसमें सबका ऐसा कॉन्फिडेंस हमारे इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े लोगों का है। एमएसएमई सेक्टर 65 से 70% एमएसएमई सेक्टर है डायमंड पॉलिशिंग इंडस्ट्री के अंदर। 20 लाख करोड़ का जो, और इसमें से 3 लाख करोड़ का जो पैकेज एमएसएमई सेक्टर को दिया गया है, उसका सपोर्ट और बेनिफिट शायद गवर्नमेंट के माध्यम से मिल जाता है तो ये इंडस्ट्री तुरंत रिकवर हो जाएगी। मुकुल भाई चौकसी ने भी बताया कि ये सब मेंटेलिटी इफेक्ट भी आएगी, योगासन, ये स्टैटिस्टिकल, कमलेश भाई याग्निक ने भी सब स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा भी दिया। जीडीपी में क्या है, आज की तारीख में डायमंड इंडस्ट्री का जीडीपी के ग्रोथ के अंदर 7% हिस्सेदारी है और 14% फॉरेन एक्सचेंज के अंदर आज की तारीख में डायमंड इंडस्ट्री भारत सरकार को सपोर्ट करती है। इसलिए स्टैटिस्टिकल देखें और एज ए इकोनॉमिकल तो डायमंड इंडस्ट्री का पूरा टर्नओवर है, ऐसे जो करोड़ में हम बात करें तो 1,56,000 करोड़ का पूरा टर्नओवर है हमारी डायमंड इंडस्ट्री का। और अगले समय के अंदर खास करके औरो यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ अभी एजुकेशन के साथ बहुत स्टूडेंट जुड़े हुए हैं। सब स्टूडेंट के लिए तो मेरा ऐसा मानना है बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है ये कोविड-19। आप सबको डायमंड ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की इंटरनेशनल मार्केट को ढूंढना चाहिए। आज की तारीख में बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी दूसरे बिजनेस में है कि नहीं वो मुझे पता नहीं है, लेकिन डायमंड ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की इंडस्ट्री के अंदर वैल्यू एडिशन बिजनेस आज हम देख रहे हैं कि $10 बिलियन का हम आराम से ये कारोबार कैचअप कर सकते हैं। $10 बिलियन का शायद कारोबार हम कैचअप कर सकते हैं। आज की तारीख में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो यूनिट्स में नॉन एजुकेटेड पब्लिक है तो भी इतना कंट्रोल है, शायद ऐसे यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ जुड़े हुए स्टूडेंट इस वैल्यू एडिशन बिजनेस में एडॉप्ट हो जाते हैं तो एक नई अपॉर्चुनिटी स्टूडेंट के लिए भी है। ऐसे देखें तो कोविड-19 एक अवसर की तरह हम सब देख रहे हैं। शायद अगले महीने के अंदर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से अच्छी पॉजिटिव नॉर्म्स आ जाते हैं, फैक्ट्री स्टार्ट करने की परमिशन मिल जाती है, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि ये डायमंड इंडस्ट्री को अभी जो इफेक्ट है इसमें से हम तुरंत बाहर वापस आ जाएंगे। और खास करके आपके माध्यम से मुझे इस इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़े हुए लोगों को एक मैं विनंती और रिक्वेस्ट भी करना चाहता हूँ। ये इंडस्ट्री अभी भले हम लग्जरियस आइटम उसको बोल रहे हैं कि आज मैं भी मानता हूँ कि लग्जरियस आइटम सब लोगों की लास्ट में पसंद की और चॉइस रहेगी, लेकिन ये भारत के अंदर कंजप्शन सिर्फ 5% है। ये कंजप्शन हमारा यूरोपियन कंट्री और अमेरिका है कि वहाँ इन लोगों के लिए ये लग्जरियस आइटम डायमंड की रिंग या डायमंड की कोई भी चीज उसके लिए अहम रखती है, मायना रखती है। इसलिए शायद मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि कोविड-19 के बाद ये इंडस्ट्री फिर से पिकअप करके जो भी हमारा टर्नओवर थे उससे भी आगे हम कारोबार ले जा सकते हैं। थैंक यू। आभार।
थैंक यू सर टू शेयर योर व्यूज ऑन डायमंड इंडस्ट्री कैसे आगे बढ़ेगी और क्या क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं though we are facing a tough time. Now I request Dr. Parul ma'am to share her views. Ma'am, over to you. Parul ma'am, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinod Lakhwani ji and Mr. Nihar, Kamlesh sir, Yagnik sir, Monica Suri ji, Navadia sir, Mukul sir, and I'm really happy to be a part of this very intellectual discussion where we are thinking not only about the business but then we are thinking very optimistic about setting it down. Today I will like to share my points on the situation where we have to maintain a balance between the business startups as well as at the same time we have to manage and save the lives and maintain the health of the people working in the business. Maybe it may be a diamond or textile. So as we all know that this point is a challenging time, and to be very frank, after lockdown when it gets open the virus is not going to go, we all know that. So we have to work in a situation where we want to continue our industries as well as we want to take the steps where our staff, our employees should not get the virus or they should have the least chances of getting the infection. So if I talk about any of the industry, we all know that we should wash hands and all these preventive aspects we are seeing everyday video. But when it comes to implementation of these safe practices in any of the small businesses or diamond or textile or some looms, it is really going to be difficult, where we need the first of all we need a very healthy premises. Premises, I mean, there should be a good space. There should be less crowding. In fact, I would request, to make more and more shift for the work, where we have less people at a time to work, and they work around the clock, even at night also, if it is possible, so that the number of people at one point of time, they are less and they infect each other less. If I talk of the premises, I would suggest that AC is not at all recommended. Air condition, it depends on the, I would say, the air exchange per hour in a premises, any of the premises. That if we have AC cabins or AC offices, it is actually going to harm the people working there. So we should, as far as possible, we should avoid the air conditioning, and we should have open windows and a good circulation. At least the air exchange per hour should be more than 16 per hour. So we have certain machines which can check the air exchange per hour, and we should, in every industry, we should get it checked at least once a week or once in fortnight. As far as the distancing is concerned, we all know that we should have 3 to 4 feet distances, but then it should be, practically it is very difficult to implement. So we should have some system like security in lift also, in waitings also, in working on computers also. We should plan for the alternate working system, and we should decrease the number of people, as I already told, at a one point. Then we should always encourage, in fact, I know that many industries give the health insurance to their staff, but at this point it is very, very essential to confirm that they have the health insurances, as well as their premium have been filled, and they should get one commitment, or would say a security from their employers, that they are not alone, and if something happens to their health, their boss are always with them. Apart from that, as Mukul Choksi sir has already told, that the mental stress will really decrease the immunity of the person. So we are in fear that if the immunity goes down after lockdown because of mental stress, financial stress, and in that way, in that situation, we actually should have more and more mental health seminars, as sir has already told, and we should have the nutritional seminars also, because at this point, if we have decrease in the immunity, or if we don't have the good nutrition, the people working there will have really the they will contract more and more infection, and they will be having serious corona, as this situation, the coronavirus, it is at least predicted that it will go for 3 to 4 months more. So in that situation, we should have, as we know, mask, sanitizer is a basic primary thing, but at the same time, nutrition and health insurance, which is very important for the staff. As we all know, sir, that stress, immunity, if we talk of the small and medium size industries, where we have a many number of staff, and there is a congestion. So in that case, we have to find out certain solutions where we don't make the congestions. At the same time, we offer them the job, and we make them safe also by educating them, monitoring them, and supporting them with the health insurances. The another aspect which I wanted to cover is that we talk about other business like diamonds, we talk about textiles, we talk about growing business like sanitizer, mask, I would say tissue paper, but at the same time, healthcare industry, which is also a very big business, I would say, because it is in consumer forum. So healthcare industry, it is actually facing a lot of problem and lot of challenge at this time. We all know, because there are staff issues. The staff of majority of hospital at present is at home. Like we, in spite of all encouragement and offering the double salary or 1.5 times salary, because of risk of the coronavirus, many of the staff are not coming to the hospitals. Still we are trying hard on behalf of IMA. Our hospitals are on, but the staff is near about 40 to 50% only. So staff issue, if we can't solve, means we have to solve it at the earliest. At the same time, their family members should also encourage them to join. And as many of my friends tell me that they have doubled the salary of the staff. At the same time, they have to invest more and more money on protection kits like PPE, N95 mask, and biomedical waste disposal, because the waste disposal charges have already increased. At the same time, doctors are also doctors who are taking risk for the COVID. They are also asking high salaries. So overall, in the hospitals where sisters are working, sometimes in COVID hospitals they have to stay in the hotels. So that again, that expense is very high. So the feedback of IMA members and most of the corporate hospitals in the city is that at this point it is really difficult to sustain the health industry or health sector or bigger corporate hospitals, and they are majority of them are going minus and with a great loss. But I think after lockdown, what we need, we want to start the work. In fact, every member is ready to work. At the same time, we should motivate our staff to they should be they should have some motivational lectures also. In fact, their family members should also be counseled to allow them to work, because without staff the hospitals can't work. And at the same routine operations on, because just from the OPD or just from a physician work or a chest physician work, the hospital cannot earn. So before that we get the routine surgeries on, we have to have this regulation from the IMA national body and government of India. So unless and until we start doing the routine surgeries or routine gynec surgeries or ortho surgeries, the hospital industries are not going to make profit. And if they don't have profit, again the issues will be of staff, and it will be again a vicious circle. So I need the on I recommend that with the increase health industry losses, we should again have the insurance support also, TPA support also. Insurance companies, actually I have the experience of one of the COVID patient where insurance company has paid only 30% of the expense. The bill was 2.5 lakhs, because in COVID patients, when the private hospital is treating any COVID patient, we have 6 to 7 wards we have to make special, like COVID positive stable, COVID positive ICU, and all these special arrangements we have to make. We have to tell our sisters to stay at hotel. We have to isolate them. They work for 14 days, then they are quarantined for 14 days. So it is a big expense on the health industry. And in such situation, if the TPA and the health insurance companies don't pay the amount, who will pay this amount? The patients will not pay this amount. The relatives again fight with the doctors and fight with the corporate hospitals. At the same time, corporate hospitals, after investing so much of money in PP, N95 mask, staff and premises, how they can make a loss of 1.5 lakh in every patient? So we have already written a letter to TPA regarding this financial loss and imbalance between the requirement and the expense as far as the health insurance for the COVID patient is concerned. But at present, overall, the health industry is actually facing a lot of problem, and this can be solved with the insurance company support, the TPA support. The government of India should again think about releasing the hospitals and allowing them to do routine surgeries. And apart from that, we should have COVID testing for private sector also very easily available for all surgeries, because unless we get the permission for testing before any of the surgery or any of the gynec or a plant service, because that surgery is 3 hours, 4 hours. So at present, government of Gujarat or India have not allowed us to do the COVID testing for stable patients, which is again a big challenge. Unless we don't get this report done, we can't do routine surgeries, and routine surgeries if not done, again health industry is going to be at big loss. So I think I have told about the the cares to be taken in any of the premises for starting the business. We all know some points we know, but some of the points which we don't know, like AC, again air conditioning is not a recommended thing. We should try to avoid it, because the virus will again circulate in the premises itself. And overall I think we have many challenges, but maybe with some point of care and some point of motivation and some point of seminars for for nutrition, motivation, and stress management, along with the work, we can solve it. But there are a couple of points which we have already represented to the government of India and Gujarat, so that the health industry should also be not at loss. Otherwise, who will serve the society? That is the biggest question. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing with us. What are the points from the health perspective? What care we have to take in the different sector once we are back on the track, and how the health sector is facing problem right now, and what is the road ahead. Now I may request Mr. Nihar Saraswala ji to share his views on this. Sir, over to you.
First of all, I would like to thank Aura University, especially Monica ji, for giving me this opportunity to remain present today in this webinar and present my views on the crucial topic of post-lockdown business strategies. So I'd like to thank my co-panelists also for joining in. It was really a pleasure to listen to all of you and get your viewpoints regarding the subject. Regarding my company, IMIT Group, I have to measure the effectiveness of marketing programs and strategies and convert complex data and findings into understandable tables and graphs. As a company, IMIT Group studies the market condition to examine potential sales of a service or product. During the ongoing lockdown, we conducted a robust survey on post-lockdown business strategies. 560 business owners from Surat and other parts of India participated in the survey, and the outcomes were pretty interesting. There were in total 14 questions asked to them. I'll just take you briefly to the key points of this survey for a better understanding. To start with, the first question we asked to the respondents was, do you believe that COVID-19 will change the perspective of how businesses work? And 52.5% of the respondents said that yes, COVID-19 will indeed change the perspective of how businesses work. 20% of the respondents said that it will definitely change. So overall, if you measure the percentage, a majority of the people are now thinking that the business perspective is going to change post COVID-19, or once the lockdown is lifted, the business perspective is definitely going to change. The second question that we asked the respondents was, how many days do they think businesses will take to streamline their operations and to be fully functional after the lockdown is lifted? Majority of the respondents thought that the period will be around 90 days or more than 90 days. For this, around 90 days that the businesses will take to streamline once the lockdown is lifted. Then we asked them, what strategy are you planning to implement in your business to rebound after lockdown gets over? 55% of the respondents suggested that they are planning for some cost cutting in their industry once the lockdown is lifted, and then once the business restarts. So 55% wants to undergo cost cutting of some sort or other, and 20% of the respondents said that they would like to upgrade to newer technologies. Now, by newer technologies, we'll see what it means, because there are two types of businesses right now. One is the offline mode, that is the physical mode that we usually engage in, and one is the online mode. So 20% of the respondents out of 560 responses that we got, they want to indulge into online marketing also. They want to upgrade to some newer technologies. Then we asked them, as Parulji rightly covered, how do you intend to take precautionary measures in your office for general safety of yours as well as the staff? And almost 30% of them said that they will be changing the sitting arrangements to create a distance between the employees. 30% also said that they will divide the strength of their staff in two and call them on alternate days. So if at all an office has 10 employees, they're planning to call 5 on Monday and other 5 on Tuesday. So this is what, at least for a few months, they are going to practice. This is at least what the survey reveals. Then we had asked them, would you like to develop a parallel work from home model for your business after the market reopens? And 50% of the respondents from Surat and all over India, they said that work from home model is not applicable to their own business. So here there's a challenge once again, that work from home model is not applicable to almost 50% of the respondents. 22.5% of the people said that yes, they would surely like to assess if that is feasible. Now that they have seen the scenario, 22.5% of the people want to explore that model. Then we asked them the single question that pertaining to diversification. What is your view on diversification of your business if you come across some promising opportunity? Because I am also been receiving a few calls from many of my friends who are willing to diversify their business as of now because of the current situation. So 37.5% of the people, they responded that they are not looking for diversification at this moment. 25% of the people told that I am willing to consider if I have a remunerative business diversification option. So almost 1 out of 4 people are considering diversification as a strategy post-lockdown. Then they were asked, what is your plan B if COVID-19 continues for some more time? Like the doctors in the panel have already mentioned that it may COVID-19 is here to stay for another 6 months to maybe 2 years more. So what is your plan B? That is what we asked to the respondents, and 37.5% of the people responded by saying that they will strengthen their online presence and find newer ways to reach to more customers. And again, we had a question on the slate. So what will you prefer during this time? And 27.5% of the people said that they would buy shares extensively at these low prices. And another 27.5% of the people said that they will work according to the opinion of experts, share brokers, and invest in some stocks. So overall, we saw that the people who have money on hand, they want to invest in the stocks down right now. Then we asked them a question that how would you prefer to meet your year-end business targets in the financial year 2020-21? A staggering 57.5% of the people said that they would not worry about the targets this year and rather prefer upgrading their personal skills. So that was again a positive sign that they showed that they are not about, they would like to upgrade their personal skills during these times. 22.5% of the people said that they would hire a business strategist to enhance the growth. Then a very important question in this scenario that we asked to the respondents was, is your business available on digital platforms for purpose of sales, marketing or service? Does it have a functional, informative website, a social media presence or a mobile application? And 35% of the respondents admitted that they do have a social media presence, online presence, but it is very limited right now. 25% of the respondents said that no, but they are now seriously planning to shift their entire business on the digital platform. So 25% chunk wants to shift the entire business to the online platform, which is once again a very big chunk. That is 1 out of 4 want to shift their business to online platforms. Again, a question pertaining to the same field, digital platform. We asked that, is your business available on digital platforms for the purpose of sales, marketing? The response that we saw was 22.5% from the respondents said that my business doesn't require digital platform. So 22.5% of the people said that they are not eager to shift to a digital platform. Once again, we asked them about the cash infused in their current business as of now by asking them, how would you prefer to infuse cash in your business in this time after lockdown gets over, when the productivity of all the businesses have been highly affected? 42.5% of the people said they were not sure about that at this point of time. 27.5% of the people said that they are going to increase the target of their sales staff so that they generate more revenue. So this is the strategy various pool of businessmen are going to apply post-lockdown. Then we asked them, would you like to introduce special healthcare schemes for your workers post-lockdown? 37.5% of the people responded that their company is already taking care of the healthcare schemes for their workers. And 27.5% of the respondents said that yes, they would like to look in the options. So Parul ma'am, here is some good news for you, because most of the respondents want to purchase healthcare schemes for their employees. That is what at least they have confirmed in the survey. And the last question that we asked them was, how do you plan to combat the business stress after the lockdown gets over? And 40% of the respondents said that they would prefer to focus on overall health and diet to strengthen the immune system. That is what 40% of the respondents said. And 22.5% of the business to join the gymming and exercises. 25% of the people said that they would prefer to do meditation and yoga for this. So after this survey, my take is from the entire survey is pretty simple. When it rains, look for the rainbows, and when it is dark, look for the stars. So disruptive innovation seems to be a priority now for most of the respondents. IMIT Group summary of this survey focuses on 3 key themes significant for the business world in the upcoming month. Business strategy that fits in increasingly digital world. The second one is adapting a transformational agenda to fit the company's growth. And the third one is revising the conventional strategies to drive efficiencies at the workplace. With this, I would like to sincerely thank all my co-panelists once again, Rohit ji, Monica ji, and Vinod ji from Oro University. Thank you for this opportunity once again.
Thank you, sir, for your sharing your study, what you have conducted. Now I thank you all the panelists. Now moving on, there are a few questions. So I will take one by one, and any one of you can answer. The very first question what we have got is quite big. What do you think of India's economy and opportunities in the coming years? And consumption is the big question for the government for the restart of the economy. So how can a personal disposable income can be increased? Any one of you can answer, sir. I hope question is clear, or shall I repeat it again?
See, I would like to say, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would like to say that business. So as the saying goes, that do not put all your eggs in one basket. So now it is the era of diversification. Now it is the era where you have to upgrade your personal skills. Now you have to upgrade and shift your business even to the online mode. So you will have to play an all-round. You have to be an all-round player to now sustain in the market. That is what at least I feel.
Yeah, see, I think the question should be framed a little differently.
Okay.
Instead of asking how to increase disposable income, the question should have been how to increase the consumption. You see, there are cases in the history which very clearly indicates even if disposable income, that is the income after deducting my taxes, disposable income has increased, but there are no spending, and spending does not, if there's no spending ultimately it stunts the growth and it leads to recession. So we have to actually look out for an options. See, technically a simple thing, disposable income if we have to increase, there are two options. One, you increase your income, or secondly you reduce your taxes, and it's very simple arithmetic. But more importantly, we have to actually look into the consumption pattern. It is only and only consumption which will lead to the growth. And what government is trying to do, government after announcing this stimulus package of close to about $250 billion, 20 lakhs crore. It's a huge package. They are actually trying to see that disposable income increases. See, that's their immediate task, and that's what to some extent you look at this TDS deductions, they're going to be only 75% deductions, PF 10% PF. All such measures will definitely put in some additional money in the name of in the hands of middle class. But yes, right now there's no confidence in the market, so most of us will not spend. So I personally think in a time to come, maybe another till the confidence is restored, and for that government will have to do some extra measure to ensure that while I'm consuming I get my appropriately return. So for some time everyone will be holding the money, and today whomsoever the wise man would say that don't spend, live, try to live with whatever you have lived without having anything. So that's what is a scenario now.
Thank you, sir. Another question, I will take last question. How do you see the new economic package? Anyone of you can answer on this.
Dinesh bhai, new economic package क्यों लागे छे?
न्यू इकोनॉमिक पैकेज तो अभी दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छा दिख रहा है। मैंने पहले भी बोला, इम्प्लीमेशन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। इम्प्लीमेशन गवर्नमेंट किस तरह से, आज हम पहले देखें कि रिजर्व बैंक ने ऑलरेडी बोल दिया कि 20% जो लिमिटेशन है किसी भी बैंक फैसिलिटी में, वो आपको अपग्रेड करना है, लेकिन आज तक 10% लोगों का अपग्रेड नहीं हुआ है। गवर्नमेंट ने डिक्लेयर आज 20 लाख करोड़ का और इसमें से 3 लाख करोड़ एमएसएमई सेक्टर को दिया है, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेशन कैसे होगा, लोगों को कैसे मिलेगा, उसका सिंप्लीफिकेशन कुछ नहीं होगा तब तक उसका बेनिफिट इंडस्ट्री को कोई मिलने वाला नहीं, सिर्फ पेपर पे ही रहेगा। मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि गवर्नमेंट को और शायद इसके लिए एक अलग एजेंसी बनाना चाहिए और हर रोज बैंक को पूछना चाहिए कि आज कितनी एमएसएमई सेक्टर को आपने पैसा दिया, रिपोर्ट लेना चाहिए, डिस्ट्रिक्ट वाइज रिपोर्ट लेना चाहिए, इंडस्ट्री वाइज रिपोर्ट लेना चाहिए, तो रिफॉर्म तुरंत हो जाएगा। लेकिन ये स्टैटिस्टिकल माया जाल में जो अनपढ़ व्यक्ति है बिजनेस के साथ जुड़ी हुई, उसको तो कुछ पता चलने वाला नहीं। आज एनालिसिस वाले एनालिसिस करेंगे, बात बताएंगे ऐसा है वैसा है, लेकिन जो रियल में जिसको मिलने वाला है और जिसको यूज करना है ये स्कीम का, शायद मुझे नहीं लग रहा है कि वो यूज कर पाएंगे और बेनिफिट ले पाएंगे। और मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स, कोई भी चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स हो, कोई भी संस्था हो, इन लोगों को आगे आने की बहुत जरूरत पड़ेगी। ऐसी इम्प्लीमेशन करने के लिए लोगों को ढूंढना पड़ेगा, एक एक व्यक्ति को कि आपको कहाँ दिक्कत आ रही है। चार्टर अकाउंटेंट को टीम बनानी पड़ेगी वॉलंटरी, कि वो लोग उसमें सेवा भी करें, कि उसको मदद करें कि भाई ये स्कीम के अंदर आपको इतना बेनिफिट मिलने वाला है। तो ये स्कीम के कुछ गवर्नमेंट का एम बहुत अच्छा है, गवर्नमेंट ने अपना काम कर दिया है, लेकिन पीछे जो इम्प्लीमेशन करने वाली एजेंसी है उसका नोटबंदी के टाइम भी एक्सपीरियंस है कि बैंकों ने क्या रोल इम्प्लीमेंट किया था। तो आज की तारीख में वही क्वेश्चन आके वहां खड़ा हो जाता है कि ये होगा कैसे, मिलेगा का नहीं। आज सब सोशल मीडिया में एक कार्टून रिलीज हुआ है, 20 लाख करोड़। 20 एक पुअर आदमी है, लाख में एक मिडिल आदमी है, करोड़ में एक पॉलिटिशियन है। लोगों को वही दिख रहा है कि ये कैसे होगा। तो ये आगे कैसे इम्प्लीमेशन होगा, कैसे ये अभी गवर्नमेंट उसको हैंडल कर रही है, उस पर पूरा डिपेंड है। ये इकोनॉमिक पैकेज का बहुत अच्छा है, आवकारता है कि मेरा मानना है कि ये इंडस्ट्री को रिफॉर्म कर सकती है ये इकोनॉमिक पैकेज। लेकिन डर सबको एक ही है। आज ही मेरे पास भावनगर से, अमरेली से, विसनगर, सब जगह से छोटे छोटे लोगों ने मेल भी किया है कि ये बैंक तो रेड जोन की बात कर रही है कि आप तो सब रेड जोन में हो, आपको पैसा नहीं मिलेगा। मतलब दिक्कत स्टार्ट हो गई है, बैंक वाले ने ऑलरेडी कर दिया है दिक्कत स्टार्ट। आज मुझे आपके माध्यम से एक बात तो बहुत अच्छी कि वराछा कोऑपरेटिव बैंक ने जो इनिशिएटिव लिया है, ऐसा इनिशिएटिव शायद गुजरात की सब कोऑपरेटिव बैंक ले लेती है, तो मेरे हिसाब से छोटे वर्कर के लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा। आज वराछा कोऑपरेटिव बैंक ने 1 लाख रुपया किसी भी गारंटी के बिना 4 साल तक फर्स्ट एक साल में कोई इंस्टॉलमेंट नहीं देना है। गवर्नमेंट ने भी 8% में से 6% इंटरेस्ट गवर्नमेंट देगी, 2% सिर्फ लेने वाले को देना है। तो ऐसी स्कीम आएगी, छोटा व्यक्ति कभी पैसा एनपीए नहीं होगा उसका अकाउंट। किसका एनपीए होता है तो सब लोग जानते हैं कि एनपीए कहाँ होने वाला है। लेकिन ये छोटे छोटे वर्कर को, छोटे छोटे दुकानदार को, गल्ले वाले को, लारी वाले को 50,000 लाख, उसको जो ऐसी बैंक के माध्यम से हेल्प हो जाती है, तो मेरे हिसाब से इकोनॉमिक पैकेज सक्सेस होगा।
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Monika Suri to give the closing remarks and propose a vote of thanks. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Vinodji. Thank you so much. And I think there was a great learning for me and lot of takeaways, because I filled my pages one after another when I was just listening to all experts on the board. And I'll start with Mr. Yagnik, because he has very optimistically shared a few important statistics with us, which may be related to evaluation of business. And as he has already shared with us that it's a prolonged severe situation. It will not go on just in 20 days or 1 year or so. It may take a longer time span, and for that I think evaluation of business is very important, just to critically evaluate the pros and cons, to critically evaluate your own strengths within the business and the challenges which you are facing, and how you can actually bring the best in your business with the unique practices at your end. And another important point which Mr. Yagnik has shared very well is about globalization to regionalization, and that this is what Modi ji was also talking about, vocal to local. I think this is where the emphasis has to be brought from all the business setups, whether it's a big business or SMEs or maybe small enterprise. So I think it will actually add value to us. And one more point Yagnik sir has brought very well, that we need to cut short on our luxury budgets. What if we postpone our buying of BMW or maybe a destination wedding for another 2 or 3 years span of time, and we should bring all these finance and budget within the well-being activities and welfare activities of our own people who are actually our immediate extended family as our own employees. I think that will actually be a wonderful point. So I had a lot of takeaways from him. So now coming to Dr. Choksi, I think he also sensitized us about the scenario of mental health, wherein he was talking about that more than 20% of the population actually is suffering from this. And maybe before pandemic and post-pandemic, I think the numbers will go up and up and up if we'll not take care of some of the preventive actions. And he was also talking about some emotional crisis, and then he was emphasizing on the spiritual index also, that how industries can actually bring the mental health to a particular normal stage of human level. And here I would like to share with you, sir, that Oro University is already in line to spiritual education with respect to philosophy of Sri Aurobindo and Divine Mother. And I'm sure the Sri Aurobindo Integral Life Center that has been established at Oro University will be a great boom to the city, wherein actually we can contribute a lot to the fullest in terms of the spiritual and mental health of the people, not only in Surat but across the world. And again, sir, you talk very well about the mental hygiene that is actually to be taken care of, because so many negative thoughts are coming to us at this point in time with reference to job insecurities, with reference to salary cuts, and with reference to work from home also, because you have extended families at your home also, and you are doing a lot of multitasking. And I think that multitasking is bringing some level of mental imbalance to all of us. I mean, barring few who are competent enough to take care of it well. So I think I've learned these aspects from your speech. And then coming to Dinesh sir, I think it was my honor to listen to you, sir, for the first time. And I think I had a lot of takeaways from you also, because your focus was completely on that how we can bring the economy to the highest level by contributing more to GDP. And you also have shown us a hope as a senior most mentor in this particular city of Surat, specifically to diamond merchants and the young entrepreneurs of family business who are second and third generation. And you also shared your insights to them that there's a lot of hope when it comes to the looking forward for international opportunities in terms of value addition, specifically the value addition. So I think Oro University, as you rightly said, sir, we have largest demographic is from family business background, and we also have a program in family business, and this year we are coming up with Master of Family Business Management and Entrepreneurship. And I'm sure I'll keep all these insights in mind, and we'll design our course structure in such a way so that we can incorporate all your insights which you shared, and it will add value to the syllabus and the content also which we have developed for the program, and it will give us a wonderful insight. And another thing which you actually shared, sir, about the virtual exhibition, I think this is something very interesting, and it will actually add value to the existing business at Surat, which will make it completely digital. As offline and online, we cannot underestimate the power of offline business also, because largely offline business is more satisfactory for a customer, because they want to touch and feel what you are selling. If you're selling a diamond, they want to touch it, they want to feel it, and then one-to-one they can handle the queries at your end. So I think these are some of the intakes from your end, sir. And as you have optimistically addressed us that maybe another 3 months will bring the diamond industry to a particular stage, wherein we can say that we have not lost much in this pandemic time, and that was something very, very motivational from your end, sir. And then coming to Dr. Parul, ma'am, thank you. First of all, my heartiest blessings and wishes to you and your team for the work you're doing for the country and nation. That is highly appreciable. And you talked very well about how we can actually bring that sensitization at industry level with respect to the health infrastructure and health premises. As you rightly said, that AC usage of AC should not be at the maximum level. I'm sure you're talking about the centrally AC systems, wherein we have the centralized AC system, wherein we have more probability of getting infected. So you also shared about some of the challenges that you are facing at your level with respect to, only 40 to 50% of the health staff are coming, and because of their own unavoidable personal reasons, it is difficult for you as a healthcare industry to look after this particular situation. And as we have seen the behavior of people in television every day, that how they are misbehaving with the healthcare workers and the hospitality professionals and hospital professionals, which is actually very painful. And I think you have rightly said that the community need to be sensitized about their physical health, and if I think if the nation stays healthy, the people will stay healthy, and that will actually in turn make the economy healthy. So it is all integrated together, because a country has to be healthy with the people, and the people can be healthy only with the businesses. This is what one of the speaker also shared, that if business will survive, we all will survive, because so many things are aligned to business: our employment, our innovations, our production, our demand supply management, our human resource, supply chain, everything is aligned to business. So I think it is important right now as a priority to save the businesses all over the country, by hook or by crook. I think this is what I learned from you. And Mr. Nihar, I think he has actually brought an insight to all of us from almost 560 business owners. And it's not an easy task to do the survey at this pandemic time, when people are at home and they may not be, having time to go through such kind of surveys. But I think still, I appreciate that he was able to take up 60 owners. And largely, I think from his survey, which we can take as a learning from all the businesses. The first thing he talked about is cost cutting. It's very important. As I also shared in the beginning, that we need to prioritize our budgets. Right? We need to cut short our luxury budgets. We need to do cost cutting wherever the things are not important. We can actually postpone such kind of things in our life at personal level as well as at organizational level. That will make a difference. And then he also talks about new technology to be incorporated and how we can bring the social media presence. But I think if you bring the social media presence as a country, as a nation, I think all these virtual exhibitions will be very, very easy for us. Then our reach will not be limited only to billions of people. It may reach to more than 7.75 billion people who are existing in this particular universe. So I think the reach of Surat city, the reach of Surat competency and skills will be visible to the whole world. And lastly, I feel that India will surely come up in few coming years as the spiritual capital of the world. Because I think the kind of calmness we have shown as a country, the kind of balance we have shown as a social structure and a social ecosystem in India, I think that is something remarkable, and the whole world is looking after India today. And they want to look up to India in next 2 or 3 coming years, and lots of opportunities will come with the public-private partnerships. And I'm sure there's a lot of things for each one of us to contribute to or to earn. So I think with these closing remarks, I'm so thankful to Mr. Nihar for bringing such a big galaxy of speakers over here. And my heartiest thanks to each one of you for sparing your time. I know your time is quite precious, and specifically the doctors, I mean, you need to be there. And then again, you have given almost quarter to 2 hours to us in this particular platform. And to each speaker, sir, I'm so thankful to you on behalf of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, on behalf of our Dean, on behalf of my School of Business team. I'm so thankful, and will not stop here. Whatever deliberations we have made, we'll surely collaborate together in future. And please let us know if there is anything else for Auro University to contribute for. And we are always open for any kind of collaborations and contributions in this particular time of COVID-19. So thank you all for your presence. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Chalo. Okay, bye-bye.